Welcome to Radio Culture, iCulture TV. Lawyer Kwame Adofo. Thank you very much for your time today, sir.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, so let's start off this way. You were in the news rating President Mahama so far at 7/10, 70%. Tell us what informed that.
Look, let me say that the rating was in relation to his appointments.
Oh, I see.
That was in relation to his appointments
that
he was making.
Okay, so let's leave that alone then and make news now. All right. So, oh, sorry. Please go ahead.
Let me explain why I gave him 7/10.
Got it. Go ahead.
If a party comes to power and you start making appointments that will satisfy your base, it puts you in a pole position for you to election. Now, looking at John's appointment that he's making, you can see that he
Please be kind to us, internet, for once. Oh, God.
in a good position for the next.
Okay. Yes, I can hear you now. We're having a bit of connectivity issues, but we can go ahead. I can hear you now.
So my rating of 7/10% had nothing to do with the economy or anything else, but the fact that he's satisfying his base.
I see.
And making appointments that is making his base very happy.
How about Ghanaians, though? How about Ghanaians? Extend that to Ghanaians in general. If we were to look at it from the point of view of Ghanaians in general, how would you rate him then?
Well, it's too early in the day because it's not even 2 months yet. It's only 1 month. And Ghanaians will look at their performance.
Well, I'm talking about the appointment. Since you were speaking about appointments, I was on appointments for now. So in terms of appointments, how would you rate him? How do you think Ghanaians outside of his party in general would see him?
Well,
would be satisfied?
Ghanaians at this stage, Ghanaians at this stage are indifferent. They don't really care because they want to make sure their lights are going to be kept on. Their employment situation is going to improve. The unemployment level will go down, and they are still giving him the benefit of the doubt at this stage that he may be able to do something out of the appointment that he's making.
So you think
I am of the view that it's too early in the day for Ghanaians to express their view or opinion on his performance.
I hear you.
But in terms of his appointment, the base of his party are very, very happy. Unlike the MPP, after 2016, when MPP won the election, they started giving appointments. Even those who worked hard had to go and beg Jubilee House for appointment. People were so angry. People were so upset because they felt that they were not rewarded. Their hard work was not even acknowledged. And that is my opinion. That is when the MPP lost the election. Immediately after 2016, because people got so frustrated and dejected, they saw no need to be working for the party in the future.
I see.
So the MPP lost the election of 2024, not today, but they lost it immediately after 2016, when they started awarding contracts to their friends and families, leaving out the party base, those who did the actual crude work. It was in that basis that I said,
I hear
Mahama,
I hear you. But before we move on to the actual topic, you've stirred up my interest a little bit in this area. So let me stay there a little bit with you, lawyer. So if I don't know if you've noticed, but there seems to be a bit of shoving and sublime jostling within the NDC. There are people who are like have their lackeys on radio publicly announcing or even threatening the president with, you have to appoint this guy or that guy, or he did this or that. I don't know if you've seen or heard any of that.
Yeah, but you see, you have to understand the philosophy NDC as a party. NDC, they've got this thing that they call no contribution, no chop. When they are in power, sure, everybody chops. I still use the colloquial using Ghana. Everybody must eat. Ubi abidid. Unlike the MPP, the NDC have got this thing that they have a strong base that will tell you, the president, what you have to do. It's not like that in the MPP. MPP, the president made all the parties very weak. The parties was very weak. The president was the power. But when you have a strong party, you can tell the president. You can tell the president who to appoint. But unlike the MPP, unlike the MPP from 2016, the party was so weak they could not tell the president who to appoint.
I see.
And I'm sure you've been following Ghana, where you may be aware that even over 90 MPs of the political party called MPP demanded that Ken Oforiatta be removed. The president ignored them.
Yes.
That would never happen in NDC. NDC, the party is so solid that they will tell you, the president, who they want you to appoint. So that's the contrast.
I see. And
you can see the agitation there. The agitation is happening.
I guess the agitation is just for individuals.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
Well, I'm saying that I guess the agitation is just individuals just trying to, gain a spot. But beyond that, I get the point you're making. Now let's move on to the central. Let's move on to the main reason why we called you lawyer. We called you today to discuss oral Operation Recover or Loot. Now, right from the start, we heard people from the MPP, for instance, saying, "Oh, it's not constitutional. Don't go if they call you, if they summon you, and all of that." Talk to us. You are the expert. How constitutional is oral? Is oral based or seated in constitutionality?
No. There is no law that acknowledges oral Operation Recover. And I have already been on the record as describing it as a vigilante group. There's no law backing it. Nobody has given any mandate. They have just formed themselves as a group, going around and sniffing for information. At best, that's all I can say. They are sniffing for information and no more.
And what is wrong with
in Ghana?
Sorry about that. Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead. I thought you had ended your point, but go ahead.
You see, in Ghana, you have to have a limit for everything that you do. And we have institutions that are meant to be doing investigations. We've got the BNI, which is now NIB. We've got the UCO. We've got the police. Now we have the Office of the Special Prosecutor. But there's no such body known in law as of people who have banded themselves together that I have labeled them as a vigilante group and no more. So now, coming back to their work itself, aside of the name. Now, in Ghana, for you to take a matter, even the Attorney General will have to rely on investigation conducted by either the police or any of those bodies that have enumerated earlier on. Now, oral doesn't have the qualification or the skill to investigate anybody. If the oral investigates, it will still be referred back to the police or the UCO or those
or the Attorney General
institutionalized bodies. No, the Attorney General comes in the prosecution stage.
Okay.
They don't have the power to investigate. So even though they have now submitted the report to the Attorney General will now have to refer it back to the police, the BNI, NRB, the OCO, the rest, for them to re-investigate. In the investigating, what you do is to take statements from the individuals, witnesses, they all have to come and give their statements. This one in court will say this one in court will say that, and so on and so forth. And they have to build a docket. So that is a process that these oral people are not qualified and they can't even put it together. So the difference is that even though they have submitted the report to the Attorney General, there's nothing that the Attorney General can do with that report per se, unless he refers to the police for the police to redo another investigation. I hope you understand the process.
I understand it very perfectly. But my question to you at this point, lawyer, is this. Does the president have the authority to set up a body to gather information for that government for the purpose of anything at all? Does the presidency, does the executive have that power?
You see, the presidency can set up any committee it so desires. But for it to be given legal background, it has to go to Parliament. Or for it to be given legal backing, it has to go to Parliament.
Okay.
Get Parliament to pass a law supporting it. So if they wanted to give legitimacy to oral, what they have to go to Parliament, pass a law, make the oral recognize a law.
I see.
Then they would then be in a position to do proper investigation.
I see, lawyer.
Whatever that comes out.
I see. But how do you react to this though? People are saying that the oral committee is not per se an investigative committee per se. It's a fact-finding committee, essentially, right? So just like you said, I'm looking at the situation where people may not open up entirely to say IOCO or SHRAJ or any of those bodies for whatever reason, but they feel more comfortable opening up to say oral. And then even if the work has to be referred back and done again, at least we have volumes of, material to use for whichever body gets, elected or appointed by the Attorney General to reinvestigate, would at least have a base of evidence, a base of material to work with. But I guess the point I'm making here is they are not essentially an investigative body. They are more of a fact-finding body. Don't you think so?
Look, a fact-finding body with on the road to nowhere. What is the utility of that?
I just gave you a scenario, though. I just gave you a scenario, lawyer.
I understand. But you are finding a fact. But at the end of the day, your writings or your conclusions will have to be referred back to the police and no more. Because there's nothing anybody can do with your own fact-finding unless it goes back to the police.
Yes.
And I'm saying it makes the whole process there's a word that I'm looking for. Not
like double tasking. Double tasking. I guess that's what you're trying to suggest. Because is double tasking.
Yes, because you gather the information. There's not much you can do with it. It has to be given back to the police.
But that's why I guess I'm also pushing you to the pushing it back at you a little bit. There are people who may not feel entirely free to speak with the police. Now, oral has come in to gather the evidence so the police can work with that. So that's not necessarily double tasking.
No, the police will still have to talk to those people who have given them the evidence.
Exactly. But now they have people that they are going to speak with.
Yes. But the point is, if these people are not comfortable talking to the police in the first place, would they be comfortable to talk to the police in the second place?
Wouldn't they have written statements on record? Don't those count in court?
Well, no. You still have to go to the police for the police to take the whole statements, everything again. See, that's the whole point that I'm trying to say. It's a dead end situation for that oral. It has no authority in law. It will not rise. It will not reach anywhere.
I don't think I've heard them ascribing authority to themselves yet, though. All I hear them.
Let me try and bring something to your attention.
Please.
If you haven't even, there's one man called Dom Level, who is also part of the rural.
Yes, we all know him.
And he said himself that if
radio culture,
Yes, I can hear you now. Thank you. Lawyer, please go ahead. Yes, lawyer.
And he was saying, even those that concern financial allegations, they have to be audited before they can be good for to use anywhere. So Dom Level himself was conceding that they will need to be audited the allegations, especially those that were making allegations in relation to financial misappropriation and so on. So they themselves acknowledge that it is their work is not enough for the Attorney General to go to court. So I understand your position that at least these people have collected information that will be enough for them, for the Attorney General to work with.
I think it's part of a process rather than a complete process in itself.
Well, the police will still have to invite the individuals to come and confirm and see whether their allegations that they are making they can defend it when they are called or when they are brought before the courts.
Understood. Perfectly understood. So still on that subject, moving slightly away from the legality though, looking at the money involved, right? Looking at what has been reported, at least, that we potentially seek to retrieve, even if it's double tasking or triple tasking, don't you think it's worth our penny?
With our people.
I'm sorry, your line went dead for a little bit. If you could please start over, thank you.
I was asking you, which one is it? The money that they've quoted, or the fact that rural people have done some work? Which one were you asking?
So I'm asking, the end justifies the means, right? So regardless of how, even if it's double tasking, even if it's triple tasking, once we are looking at the figure that has been quoted that is potentially retrievable, even if it's triple tasking, isn't it worth our while to be triple tasking to redeem that amount of money? That's what I'm asking you.
Which amount of money are we talking about? That's what I was asking.
Well, let's even go with just the figure that Kujetu and quoted about the 20-something billion and all of that. Let's just go with that conservative figure.
Can you believe it? And you believe it?
What is why don't you believe it?
Well, because when somebody comes and whispers to you in your ears that we can retrieve 20 billion, and you go and write it in the report, it's just something that you should not. I don't think
that any reasonable person thinks we'll get the whole amount down to the penny. I don't think anybody with their head screwed on would think so at all. But isn't it worth trying to retrieve some of it at least? We know there has been. Please go ahead.
Let me answer your question by saying, in Ghana, we are all like ostriches. We all know that the wrong thing is being done. But when push comes to shove, you will not see anybody. They will not come and testify. We go. Hello?
I'm here. Your line keeps cutting, but we'll make this work.
Yeah. I said, in Ghana, we are hypocrites. We all know the right thing, but also stick their neck up. They will not. That's why we glorify it. So yes, it will be desirable for us to recoup all these monies that have been stolen. But I'm telling you, it's not that simple. Even to get people to come and testify will be.
Shouldn't we try at
Because
least?
Ghanaians are not honest people.
Shouldn't we try at least?
And I'm telling you that even in they glorify the thieves. We praise the thieves.
Yeah,
So
but isn't
it's
that
not
what
as simple
isn't that what
as-
bodies like Oral is trying to change? The same narrative that you're saying, that you're talking about. Isn't this the same thing that bodies like Oral is seeking to address?
money?
And shouldn't we at least try to retrieve these monies? Should we just
saying-
fold our arms and
I'm
watch people just
I'm saying-
call it a day off?
No, listen. We should try, and I think we should never give up trying. But for us to have any hope that we are going after 20 billion, either cedi or dollar, because it may even end up being a phantom figure thrown out there.
To me
You see,
personally,
how can you seriously say? I'm sorry.
go ahead. Go ahead. You are the expert. I want to hear you more than talk.
Yeah.
So you
How
go
can
first.
any serious government? Yeah, I'm just saying. How can any serious government say you are going to chase and
And our friends killing parents. Them your news here no make no sense.
Yes, lawyer.
yeah, in Ghana, it's not something that the individuals, the citizens are not. They just don't love our country enough. That's how I see it.
Mm.
So even though we may want to do it, the reality is that they will not do it. How can any serious government? I'm going to be chasing all the loot that some people have stolen. We have people facing courts for having looted, and we are withdrawing charges against them. How does that make sense?
What are you talking about though? Who has looted and you're withdrawing
sorry?
charges?
I'm sorry?
I'm trying to find out the reference to what you just spoke about. You said there are people who have looted the country and they are withdrawing charges against them. Did I hear you right?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now. Thank you.
Are you not aware that the present Attorney General has gone and withdrawn some of the charge against people who were facing court?
Yes, I'm aware of that.
For stealing.
For stealing?
Are you not aware of that?
For stealing? Who stole?
Of course. Well, some of them have charged with causing financial loss to the state.
In relation to Sagleme,
either
you mean?
intentionally. Well, Sagleme is one of them. And then we have the Bank of Ghana situation is one of them. We've got Adofo situation where ambulance case is now.
That was a fast lawyer. Let's not be too robotic with some of these things. Lawyer, you heard the tapes for yourself in the case of what's his name, the former Attorney General. Why do we waste time and precious energy going back and forth when the thing is right before our eyes, though? Like, you're a lawyer. What he did, what the Attorney General did, it's shameful to your profession. Let's call a spade a spade. And maybe because of your position, the former Attorney General, I mean, he was on tape. We all heard him. If that was not him, he would have sued Jakpa by now, I believe so. I'm talking about the tapes that came out about the former Attorney General trying to coax Richard Jakpa to go to court and lie. That's what I'm talking about. And we want to step beside all of that and say, oh, the case against Adofo was a fast right from the scratch. We all know about that.
What about the other cases?
Well, I'm not that too deep into the other cases, so I'll let you continue as the expert. But this is one that I can single out as maybe if all the other cases are like this, then of course he's right in scrapping those cases out of court. For instance, the case that was brought against the people that went on demonstration.
Hello?
Yes, lawyer, can you hear me? Yes, lawyer.
The line dropped a bit.
Yes, sorry about that.
And I was asking you, you give me one instance in relation to Atofosin's case. What about the Sagleme case?
The Sagleme case, I was just telling you, I'm not that too deep into that. But even that, right? If judging by the Adofo case, if that is the standard, then the Attorney General is right in throwing it out. And let me give you one more. The case against the people that went on demonstration against Galamsey. Why do you even have a case against them to start with?
Now, having followed that, are you aware of the facts of that case? Those that went for demonstration in relation to...
I'm sure you're talking about what was presented in court. I'm sure you're talking about what was presented in court. And to that, I would say no. But I'm aware of the general circumstances, yes. And I'm aware that in Ghana, we are allowed to freely demonstrate. So whatever was presented in court, I'm not aware. I'm aware that somebody was going to church and was arrested and taken to court.
Well, look, you see, that's the problem. Because you haven't seen the facts of the case, it's a bit...
as presented in court, yes. So I agree to that.
It's a bit unfair for me to be... Well, you see, you haven't seen the facts of the case. You haven't... It had been charged with. So you are probably relying on newspaper reportings, which some of them are
and a little bit of common sense too, lawyer. And just a little bit of common sense. Because I know that we are... okay, go ahead, please. Go ahead. You go ahead.
You see, it is true that common sense, in law, even in law, we have 80% common sense and 20% law. So I will not dismiss your position to know the facts of the charges that have been leveled against him. You see, unless you see the facts, you can very quickly be swayed by the propaganda prompting in Ghana. But of course, let's move on. My point is this: there are some people who are in court and were charged with various serious offenses of causing financial loss to the state. If you are a government, you are serious in chasing and seeking to recover all the loot, you shouldn't discover. Is it? Hello?
Yes, I'm here. Go on.
I was saying, if you're a government, you are serious in recovering all the loot, you shouldn't discontinue those cases like while you go out fishing for information to start a new investigation. I think you should do all of them together. And
fair point. Fair point. Very fair point.
I'm just saying the government has now dug itself a big hole that it's going to be very difficult for them to even go and chase those who have looted, for the simple reason that they should allow the court process to continue, let the court clear them. And if you don't let the court clear them, and you yourself, you go and withdraw those charges, you put yourself in a very difficult situation.
That's very expert. That's a very expert. That's a very expert perspective. I completely respect that. That's a very expert perspective. All right. So, all right. So now beyond that, to lawyer, let me also ask you. Again, you said that it will be, farcical to think that we can retrieve all the money and everything, right? Of course, we may not be able to, or we may be, who knows, right? But because there may be more than what is even being reported, who knows? But my question to you is though, beyond the actual money that can be retrieved, isn't it at least worth something isn't it worth doing just to make the point that corruption will not be tolerated?
Well, look, ordinarily, I would just say yes. But the reality is that in Ghana, we celebrate thieves. I've already told you this. I don't know if you captured it or the line dropped.
I did capture that, but we want to move away from that. That's why I think we have to look at the solution rather than the problem.
Well, look, I'm just painting the practical reality of Ghana to you.
Okay, let's do that.
We all don't like corruption, but in the end, we don't want to remove corruption. Seriously, try in Ghana that you want to fight corruption. Even your own friends will stop talking to you. I know what I'm saying because I have been on that side before. I have reported certain individuals and I started building enemy for myself. Even though what I was doing, I thought and believed that it was the interest of the country that I do what I do or what I do what I did. But I started getting enemies. People didn't want to talk to me because they were not comfortable with what I was doing. So the point is, yes, it would be desirable for us to at least try. But I'm telling you, the practical of this community called Ghana, individuals called Ghana, is that we don't really want to remove corrupt practices from our system because people are benefiting. So many people are benefiting.
I don't completely agree with you, though, lawyer, because I feel like the NDC won the elections partly, and a big part, for that matter, on the fact that they campaigned on the same aura that we're talking about today. A lot of people voted for them because of that. I know this for a fact. So, and also we realized that we're going to the IMF for how much? Look at how much we're chasing the IMF for versus how much that's purportedly, allegedly been looted, right? So even if we don't get the whole amount, and we get just the amount crap that we're going to get from the IMF, So I think that there's a new generation. Yes, Ghanaians are all that you say, but I feel like this new generation of Ghanaian wants to move away from that. Don't you believe so?
You see, I'm laughing.
I hear you laugh. Very sinister laugh, and I'm wondering why.
I'm telling you, what you are saying is far from reality. In
Is
4
it?
years' time, you're gonna give me back my stone in Ghana. We say you're gonna give me back my stone in 4 years. In Ghana, you think we have? Come and live in this country, and you see. And as we say in our local, you give me my stone.
I'll go to Obuasi and carve out a big one for you, lawyer, when the time comes. Hopefully we don't get there, though.
You see, the idealistic situation, I used to be like that. I used to be very idealistic. We can do it this way, can do it this way. But when I came to Ghana and I lived in Ghana, I saw that, man, Ghana is a different world, though. All this now that we were prophesizing and thinking is different when it comes to the ground. Wow. Even the church is corrupt. Even the church, the pastors are all corrupt. So you think we have a new generation that wants to move away from the old?
I believe so.
My brother.
I strongly believe so. And this is fueled by necessity because the youth are out there without jobs. Right? The youth are out there without jobs. They need jobs. They need what they need.
You note it down.
Mm-hmm.
You put today's date down.
Mm-hmm.
And write it down and say you spoke to Kwame Adofo. Mm-hmm. And Kwame Adofo was so cynical. And in 4 years' time, you check it and see whether what I am saying today has come to pass or... No, I'm telling you. Because I'm telling you, the reality on the ground is different from what we all hope.
I hear you.
Will happen.
I hear you. But I hear you, but I'm not going to wait 4 years to talk to you again. Not with the wealth of knowledge that you have.
Unfortunately, unfortunately, it's 4 year cycle.
Well, that's when we'll talk about that. But to you personally, I'm not going to wait 4 years because with the wealth of knowledge that you have, it makes no sense to wait even a week longer to speak with you. Thank you very much.
Well, you will give me my stone one day.
In 4 years. But we'll have many discussions, I hope, before that time comes. And hopefully that time never comes because we want to see some progress in Ghana. Thank you very much, Lawyer Kwame Adofo, constitutional lawyer.
My friend, thank you.
Thank you so much. We'll be coming to you again from time to time. Thank you. Appreciate your time.